Good evening, Bante.
Good evening. So today is your on-call topic.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem. So it's an interesting sutta. Yeah.
Bante,
Yeah.
you would like to share on the alien thing. Can you talk something about that?
What alien thing?
The one you always put on Facebook?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research because science is always changing, right? Our understanding of so-called human evolution. I used to study biology, in my O levels in secondary school. So we used to believe, humans come from maybe some evolved from more intelligent form of apes, yeah, or chimpanzees, right? Whereas in the suttas, humans come from devas. Humans come down from heavenly beings. So how do we come to this compromise, right? So some people want to show that maybe they are more scientific or more logical, then they will just reject the suttas kind of explanation, right? Whereas if we are open-minded enough, we should sort of KIV first, and now the science has come to this interesting uh, new kind of opinion. They believe in this thing called intelligent design. Intelligent design. So of course, different people will take it differently. Those maybe the monotheistic religion will believe creationist theory, right? They believe maybe a God will create something, right? Then maybe those ancient aliens will believe aliens created humans, right? So creationist theory will leave a big question mark. That means it is not, humans are not evolved naturally. Something is interfered somewhere. So intelligent design theory means anything can happen. So but in the Buddhist Aganya Sutta, the devas, they sort of phase from one dimension to the human realm because they ate something wrong. So this is that is the Buddhist explanation. So again, there's of course in the teachings they mention humans ever lived for 80,000 years old, right? So if you will take this, the mainstream science to be true, that humans come from these chimpanzees, and they, we just live for 100 years or lesser, and it's sort of around that age, then there's a lot of these uh, contradictions, right? So there's a lot of these archaeological findings, sort of forbidden archaeological findings because it doesn't fit with evolution, and you just chuck it one side. And things like, there are certain structures which predate so-called human evolution, right? Where people believe the caveman era. How can humans build such complex structures? Right? How can they build with such simple tools? Right? So this is one thing, and of course, based on what I learned from biology, they always like to mention evolution is basically survival of the fittest. It's not transforming into totally new species. They always give the example of two butterflies. One, for example, one black and one white, right? And they give an environment. Let's say it's in a snowy environment. So it is said that the white butterfly can survive because it blends in with the environment, whereas the colored ones will get eaten by the predator, right? So this is the evolution theory. So after several generations, then only the white one remains, something like that. So a butterfly will be a butterfly. The butterfly won't transform into a bird, or a butterfly won't transform into something else. So similarly, humans, should be all the while humans. We shouldn't be transforming into something else. So I have last time there was this X-Men movie was featuring, I think, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Right? So in my secondary school days, I asked my biology teacher, right, can humans one day become like the mutants, X-Men, have superpowers and that kind of stuff. So my biology teacher straight away answered, if we have mutation, it'll be 99.999% cancerous. All mutations are cancerous. So if it is cancerous, how can we sort of evolve? You'll die. So it's impossible to mutate and become a different species. Right? So that's the flaw of evolution. So we give an example. Let's say a unicellular organism like a bacteria. How can a bacteria evolve into a whale? Or a bacteria evolve into something else, right? A bacteria is still a bacteria, right? So like the mosquito, since the dinosaur times, it's still mosquito. It won't evolve into a bird. So yeah, so that's with the evolution thing. Yeah.
But the like previous Buddha is how many eons before? That's human already. It means.
Yeah, our current eon has 4 Buddhas. 4 Buddhas. Yeah. So the third Buddha, if I'm not wrong, the human lifespan was about 10,000 years old. Yeah.
So that's very long. It even predates the dinosaur, right?
Yeah, there's no archaeological find where they found human footprints along with the T-Rex footprints. They did carbon dating and they found, hey, it matches. Yeah?
The pre-human.
Of course, no, just KIV, all these things. No, just KIV first. It's a side, more like my side hobby.
Okay, Mate.
Yeah, okay, so there are more people coming in. Okay, so Jen, how are you?
I'm good, Bante.
Yeah, good. Okay. Right. So I think Eddie is the first time I'm seeing you. I think last week you were not on the video.
Yeah, Bante, how are you? Yeah, I'm on and off. Actually, I'm assisting Brother Willie. Last week, but she got free.
Okay.
Yeah. Me and Brother Willie are from the same center, Mudita Buddhist Society. Yeah.
Okay.
Bante Eddie is the president of Mudita Society.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice to meet you. Okay. Hi, Hui Wen. Yeah, she joined the Monday session already. Okay. Good evening. All right. Sinwi, everything fine from America?
Everything is good. Thank you, Bante. Sorry, I also have a Rotary Club meeting short at 7 o'clock here. So
okay.
I have to leave just slightly earlier. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining. The rest are still unseen beings. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have like 4 minutes. How about Terence? How have you been doing?
Yeah, still struggling.
Okay.
Still haven't reached go up one step to the first jhanic state yet. Still finding the emotion, trying to find out what's the emotion that needs to be aware of. I prefer the meta type of that one I can follow easier.
Okay, all right.
But for is there any visualization meditation about it?
There are, but for my teaching, I won't sort of include much, right? Because again, you mentioned it's a risky kind of meditation. Yeah. Some people want to.
There is under the kasina, is it?
Yeah, kasina is a kind of visualization meditation as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Bante, Brother Casey Lee, the president of Mahasatipatthana, is down with chicken pox, so he can't join us.
Oh, okay.
Chicken pox at this age?
Yeah, he called me just now. He said, I think I'm down with chicken pox. He got blisters, so he's going to see a doctor tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Wish him well and speedy recovery.
Yeah. Sadhu.
How about Angie? How have you been doing?
Same, Bante. I find that this meditation is very nice to follow. But I also find that I talk to myself a lot. Okay, you have to let go. You have to go to the next stage. So it's like very busy. I find I'm quite busy.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be busy? The mind, is it supposed to be busy?
If it is busy having right thoughts, then it's good. And if there's improvement, the mind becomes more wholesome, more positive, or more calm, more peaceful, then that's right.
Yes. It's the mind can settle down better now.
Yeah. This is part of right effort. Right effort, need constant reminder.
So while the mind is being calmed down, then we have to tell ourselves, okay, let go. So it's like always have to talk to them, let the mind talk to you.
Yeah.
Controlling the mind or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a suggestion to the mind, because if the mind is truly self or truly yours, that means you have total control over the mind, which is not. Right? So you need some conditioning.
Of course, a lot of nonsensical thoughts also come in.
Yeah.
Still trying to get rid of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have 1 more minute. The rest are still. Yes, Xin, we have a question.
I think when I was watching on Facebook again, there was a viewer asking about Vitaka and Vichaya.
Vichara.
Not Vichara to perhaps just doing a little bit more.
Okay.
Looking at it in the Mandarin version, and I still really can't get it. And I thought this one is directed thought, just basically thought focus, and one is to continuing it, manage to maintain it. And I'm not sure that that's the case. So if you please verify that for us. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, this is my personal take. This applied and sustained thought are basically background thoughts, background kind of noise that sort of cloud the absorption. Right? So the first level will have this vitaka vichara, and the second level of concentration doesn't have. Right? So if a person does experience the first to the second level, the joy and happiness is slightly more intense because the veil of this initial and sustained thought is gone. But some people think that this initial and sustained thought is thinking, and they believe second concentration almost no more thinking, which is not correct, because every level of concentration requires reflection on impermanence. So there is thinking. Yeah. Okay, so it's 8:31. Any other questions?
Bante, I have a comment on the definition of jhana is contentious, because I recently attended a talk about jhana definition, and then that person referred to the Anupuba Nirodha Sutta, which is talking about cessation, right? And then in the sutta, it says that in the first jhana, right, the sensory perception has ceased, meaning it's gone. Okay? So because of that sentence, right, the speaker thinks that in the first jhana, you do not have any sensory perception. I mean, you cannot hear, you cannot see, you cannot feel the touch. All the sensory 5 senses are shut down. It's actually also added by the Ajahn Brahm book. That it says that in the first jhana, all the 5 senses shut down. So this becomes contentious, because if a person think like this, then he will think that he will not be able to achieve jhana. Because there is no way, in my opinion, but no way, if you live as a human, your 5 senses are shut down. No way. This is my experience and also my opinion on that.
Yeah, sometimes it might be translation or interpretation issues. Like most of the stock formula of the first jhana onwards The opening sentence, I use Ajahn Tanisaro's translation, will be quite withdrawn from the senses. They never mention total shutdown of the senses. So that is the translation. Right? But anyway, there are other suttas that even talk about the Animito Sutta, the signless, no sign. Yeah? So they talk about even this Venerable Mahamoggallana conversing with the Buddha in the 8th jhana. The Buddha appear one hologram in front of him in his mind, and they have conversation. So even in the highest formless jhana, there's even thoughts, thinking.
That I believe. You know, because in even the higher level, you know, you can. I think you can still, even you can get up of your seat and do something and come back again. For example, you're thirsty, then you just have a drink, then you continue. You know, but still in the jhana. This is what I think. Yeah, and then also the second jhana, thought and examination have ceased. Meaning, in the second jhana, you don't have any thought. This is the translation again issue, Bante. Yeah, I think the interpretation of that, because we still have thoughts. 4, 5, 6, 7, and you know, all the way. We still have thoughts. So and so on. And then this is the funny thing, Bante. In the fourth jhana, it is written there, the in-breathing and out-breathing have ceased. Then the speaker says, you see, in the fourth jhana, no breathing. No breathing. And how can that be humanly possible? This is wrong, you know. But people believe that, you know, think that is the way that it is being.
Yeah, sometimes it might be translation or interpretation, right? So like we gone through this Dipa Sutta last week, right? All the higher jhanas Buddha mentioned also through the in and out breathing.
Okay, Bante.
All right.
Bante, Hui Wen has raised a hand.
Yes. Okay. Question.
Sorry, quick question. I watched your last week the Dipa Sutta. I didn't attend, but yeah. So you were saying the sustained thought is like background thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Is it like subconscious thinking, like not the verbalized thinking, the thoughts, but is it like the subconscious thoughts?
Very hard to explain. It's more like a bit like mental formations still scattered all around, like some form of dirt sticking onto the mind. Yeah. So
but
once you go higher, the thing gets washed away. Yeah.
But is it necessarily have to be like verbalized in your mind? No.
Doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can start, Bante.
All right. Yeah.
Welcome to MSBS Dharma Sharing Online. This event is organized by Mahasatipatthana Buddhist Society Klang and Mudita Buddhist Society Klang and supported by Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia. Today is Tuesday, 8 September 2020. Few housekeeping rules before we start. Please display your name for easy identification. Make sure your audio is muted at all times. If you wish to ask a question, you may type your question at the chat box. Or to ask verbally, you may raise hand and mute and talk. Please turn off your microphone after finish asking. One person to speak time. During guided meditation, please on your video so Bante can see your progress. And the meeting room will be locked. MSBS is fortunate to have with us Bante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh. Bante was ordained in 2008 at Santi Forest Monastery, Malaysia. Bante spent 5 years at various monasteries in Malaysia and Thailand. He is currently the Vice President of Wat Palilai Buddhist Temple, Singapore. Today's talk is based on Mettam Sutta. Bante will be leading the homage to Buddha and taking of the 5 precepts. Let's compose our minds, put our palms together and welcome Bante. Over to you, Bante.
Okay, Sadhu. Thank you, Terence, for the introduction. Okay, so for Buddhist friends, I'm going to chant the opening chants. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. And the precepts. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Kamesu miccācara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Suramiraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right. Okay, so today's topic, Mettam Sutta, is sort of suggested by Brother Jen, right? So we're going to discuss about this because I brought this up in one of the previous talks on the sublime states, right? So we talked about doing loving kindness. One of the benefits is that you can enter concentration easily. So what kind of concentrations are we talking about, right? Because in the, at least in the Theravada Buddhist community, there's so many kind of spectrum of ideas. How does this metta lead to, or even contradictions? So like in the post-canonical manual, let's say the Visuddhimagga, they will tell you loving kindness can only reach third jhana. Right, whereas the suttas, right, there are different interpretations as well. Some suttas, if they are based on form, if a person is grounded on form, then they can only reach first jhana. Right, whereas today we're talking about this Mettam Sutta, which can reach something higher, and the four Brahma Viharas can even reach the formless kind of concentration. So we are going to talk about this today. Okay, so if you want to read the full sutta, you can search this on Google. All right, so we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so a few more days' time will be this anniversary of this September 11 attacks of this World Trade Center, and this incident has sparked many kind of distrust, between the different religions. There's a lot of media misconception that portray religion. No? Some certain religion can make a certain groups of people more fanatic, right? So again, the whole idea is we have to analyze that no religion, the scriptures doesn't teach terrorism, right? It's the people who interpret it or how they sort of hijack the teachings or hijack the community, hijack the religion, and produce radical people, right? So, in the suttas, right, in the Buddha's time, the Buddha actually encouraged this kind of religious kind of discussion, inter-religious kind of discussion. So the story opens with this group of monks, Buddhist monks, right? They want to go for alms round in the morning. So according to the precepts, we only can eat from daybreak to noontime. Those who take 8 precepts and above, right, then they follow this rule. So for the monastics, they go for alms round once there's daybreak. For some people, they go even before daybreak because the long distance of travel. So this group of monks, they sort of roughly know about the timing when the devotees prepare their meal, and they find still too early. So they decided to go to this park where other religious groups, they are residing there. Right, so they went to this certain park, wanderers, and they exchange courteous greetings, and they have some friendly conversation. Right, so this is the opening of the scripture. Okay, next. Okay, so the teachers of this other religious group then started to pose a question to these Buddhist monks, right? Then they asked, okay, friends, Gautama the contemplative, that means the Buddha, teaches the Dhamma to his disciples in this way. Right? That means the teaching, come, monks, abandoning the 5 hindrances. Right? Okay, so what are the 5 hindrances? We have 5, so the first pair, greed, hatred, then there's another pair, restlessness and worry, and the next one followed by doubt, which is the 2 opposites, and sloth, sorry. That means a person gets sleepy and drowsy, sloth and torpor, and the last one, doubt. So there are 5 kind of hindrances that obstruct your progress, right? So there's abandoning the 5 hindrances, the corruptions of awareness that weaken discernment, keep pervading the first direction, the east, okay, with an awareness imbued with goodwill. So goodwill means loving kindness in this particular translation. So I put it in bold because they're going to repeat it for the other 3 sublime states. So you can replace it with compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. So they are going to repeat this 4 times. Likewise, the second, likewise the third direction, likewise the 4th. And above, below, and all around, everywhere in its entirety, keep pervading the all-encompassing cosmos with an awareness imbued with goodwill. Abundant, expansive, immeasurable, without hostility, without ill will. Right, so this is the instruction also given by the Buddha. And next. And this religious group, they also mention, now friends, we too teach our disciples in this way. So the instructions are exactly the same, right? So in fact, a lot of our objects of meditation in Buddhism, they are borrowed from pre-Buddhist religions. Like for example, Kasina meditation, or staring into the fire or something like that. So the yogis in India, they were doing it long ago. Right, or staring into the sun, certain this shape, staring into the moon, right? So these are different kinds of the kind of kasinas. So, friends, what difference, what distinction, what distinguishing factor is there between Gautama, the contemplative, and us when comparing the teachings and instructions, right? Instruction with instruction, Dhamma with Dhamma teaching. Right, so this is the question posed to the monks. exactly the same one. So what's the difference, right? And this group of monks neither delighted in the words of the wanderers or reject them. Right? That means they are neutral, or maybe they're confused, or maybe they are just rushing for the alms round. They are hungry already. Time's up for the meal, right? So whatever reason, they got up their seats and left. And they think we will learn the meaning of these words in the presence of the Blessed One. That means they will go back to the teacher, the Buddha, and ask for the answer. That means at that point of time, they do not know. They do not know the answer. No? Exactly the same one, the instruction is the same. Right? So I'm sure if, let's say, anybody goes for interfaith dialogue, the whole idea of dialogue is basically to learn from each other, find out from each other. So in this case, this group of monks, when they go for such exchanges, right? In fact, they become better Buddhists. They become better Buddhist monks because they know where's their limit. When people from other, let's say, religion, because they emphasize maybe certain things more than your current practice, and they ask you certain question, then you, oh, you don't know how. Then you can never mind, you say, you don't know. Right? So some people may think interfaith dialogue means agreeing with everything. Everything is the same, everything is the same. No, not true. Right? There'll be a point of time when you have exchanges, you can actually agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. Now, we do have certain points common, right? Then, of course, there are points which are different. That's why we are called different religion, right? So, of course, we must acknowledge the differences. Acknowledge in an amicable way, right? Not in a way, must force you to accept the opinion, right? That is considered conversion. So dialogue is not conversion. Okay, next. Okay, so the monks, they came back from the alms round, right? Then they went back to the Buddha. So they asked this question, right? The monks and the Buddha, he answered, okay, monks, when wanderers of other sects speak in this way, they should be addressed in this way. Okay, that means the Buddha offered a counter question. That means you want the teachers of the other wanderer sect, they want to know what's the difference. So the Buddha is using this marketing strategy, a bit of reverse psychology or something, to make the other party interested, right? But how, friends, is awareness released through goodwill, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity developed? What is its destination? What is its excellence, its fruit, and its consummation? That means what's its result? Okay, so, and furthermore, he mentioned, being asked in this way, the wanderers of the other sects will not be able to know the answer. And he go on to the further extent, saying even the devas and the maras won't even know the answer as well. So what he's trying to say that he discovered something. He discovered, he's the first person to discover something that nobody else knows. So he's discovered, like in the previous session, we talked about the breath meditation. The Buddha actually discovered the various levels of the jhana, right? That's why he's able to sort of differentiate when a person practices what immeasurable state, sublime state, he will reach what kind of concentration. A lot of practitioners, even Buddhist practitioners nowadays, when they practice, they enter very calm state, very nice, very peaceful, but do not know which level, right? So this is the current trend now, because of the lack of this knowledge being passed down. Okay, so, and of course the Buddha is not like being selfish like in these Chinese martial arts, the pugilist kind of novel stories where the teacher will just impart maybe 80% or 90% of the skill to the student and they keep the 10%. Right? It's a secret move, secret technique. I will not pass it down to you. Right? I will not teach you unless you prove yourself worthy. So he will find the best student or reliable student, then find one time to impart all the skill, or maybe don't impart at all, right? So the Buddha is not like that, right? The Buddha is actually going to share all the blueprint, all the answers, and then whoever wants to learn, even the wanderers from the other sects, if they inquire about it, then you can share. The blueprint is free. The Buddha taught with an open face. He doesn't keep anything back. Okay, so this is how he answers. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is the Buddha's instruction and answer. Okay, so after the this thing, or rather the unique factor in the Buddha's discovery is actually these 7 factors of enlightenment. This is actually a kind of gateway, the doorway to this liberation. So in the previous lesson, we talked about it. Right? There are 7 things to go through. Right? So if a person who practice develop mindfulness as a factor of awakening, accompanied by goodwill, so it's exchangeable with compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, depending on seclusion, dependent on dispassion, dependent on cessation, resulting in letting go. So it's repetitive, right? Then the second factor, analysis of quality, that means investigation of the Dhamma. And the third factor, persistence, which is this energy or effort. And the fourth factor, rapture. 5th, serenity. 7, concentration. And number 8, equanimity. So this is the 7 factors. So in this particular segment of the scripture, this Samyutta Nikaya, the whole range of it is talking about these 7 factors of enlightenment. So they're talking about the various meditation objects, can be the Asubha, can be the other 4 sublime states, whatever it is. They're going to talk about the 7 factors of enlightenment. Right? So some people say, oh, this loving kindness cannot reach enlightenment one. So what's the point of teaching 7 factors of enlightenment if it cannot reach enlightenment? Okay, so these 7 factors, again, to reiterate, the foundation, the basis is actually the first one. Mindfulness of this impermanence, actually. Mindfulness of impermanence. So when we talk about mindfulness as the first factor, we talk about in the Zoom retreat, right? Right, mindfulness is actually the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So there are 4 things to be mindful of. Mindful of the body, mindfulness of feelings, the mind, and the Dhamma. 4 things, right? So these 4 things, the sort of the chorus of every subsection of these 4 things is actually mindfulness of arising and passing away. Right? So it's very repetitive in the Satipatthana Sutta. So that's the key emphasis. It is to be mindful of impermanence. Right? So of course, mindfulness, there are different interpretations. Some people might interpret as circular mindfulness, where people pay attention to detail, be very careful, must observe everything and know everything. That is circular mindfulness. Right? A person can be very good at circular mindfulness. They're aware of everything in the news. They must know how many COVID cases, how many people die, the kind of stuff, know what's happening in the stock market, know what's going to happen in the weather. Very mindful of all this, but full of greed, hatred, delusion. So what's the point? Right? So the spiritual mindfulness or right mindfulness is actually the not clinging. When a person observes these 4 things, they sort of let go of this desire. Right? So in the practice later on, which is about a few minutes time, we are going to observe impermanence and we are going to wish them well and happy. All the sensations that arise, we wish them with goodwill. And of course, subsequent sessions, we will try the other 4 sublime states, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. How does it work? How does it come to action in terms of meditation? Here's a general wish, for example, equanimity, for the intellectuals, the academics, they will believe, oh, okay, karma is, everything is karma, whatever good or bad is because of what you've done in the past. So you have to accept this karma, right? So when you practice meditation, equanimity, how are you going to reflect that? Oh, they're going to think about, oh, the other, which all beings were happy. So all these beings, they are going to experience all the suffering because of the karma they've done in the past, or all the good things, the karma they've done in the past. So it becomes too intellectual. It's not very practical or experiential, right? So we are going to go through in the practical session how to apply. So the whole idea is we base on evidence, evidential kind of experience, and using that to make this aspiration of the four sublime states. Now, how to apply loving kindness to these sensations, that what kind of dharma do you learn from these experiences, right? So this is the thing we're going to go through, right? So I'm going to shortly going to emphasize the main foundation is the first three. If you're persistent having this effort in investigating this impermanence, which is these first three factors, and the other four will arise as a kind of byproduct. That means a person will feel joy once a person mindful of impermanence until the desire drop. Then there will be spiritual happiness will surge, this rapture will surge, followed by serenity. I will come down, develop this vipassana kind of samadhi, concentration, and eventually equanimity. So it's a chain reaction. But the emphasis is on the process, mindful of this impermanence. All right, so I'll stop here for now. Before we carry on the next session. We have some time to meditate. So any questions on the ground? No questions? But today all, no doubt. Okay, so if there's no questions, we're going to, okay, Roy raised the hand. Okay, Roy, please.
Hi, Bhante. Hi.
Yes.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much, Bhante. So, Bhante, just want to understand from your good self that you was sharing with us about mindfulness from the Buddha point of view.
Yeah.
So, but just want to know, there was a saying that it is is such a hard, how to say, it's so precious that we're able to hear the Dharma from the Buddha. So let's say that this lifetime we hear the Dharma from the Buddha himself, and if because we will reincarnate and so on. So for those who not able to listen to the Dharma, so is it a loss to them, or you know what I'm trying to say, right? So is it a loss to them, or something that they will never enjoy able to hear the Dharma?
Yeah, there are many factors. There are people who listen to the Buddha firsthand and they turn him down. Right? They sort of rejected his teachings or don't accept the teachings. So these are possible scenarios in the past. So it's not about who's speaking. Also, there's also the listener. Are they sort of in line? Are they looking for the right product in the first place? It's like, we go shopping. What kind of product are we looking for? Right? So if they're not looking for that particular product, then no point, it's a waste of time. Right? So similarly, the Buddha has already passed away to Parinibbana. So the teachings are left behind in terms of either oral teachings or in the scripture. So if you hear some quotes from the Buddha from the scripture, right? So it's sort of as good as listening to the Buddha, sort of as good, right? So, and again, it depends on the listener. How ready are you to sort of digest or process? And of course, there's another layer, which is interpretation, right? I may be teaching this thing, and let's say maybe, I don't know how many participants, 16. So 16 people will interpret it in 16 different ways. Right, so this is the issue. Right, so it's hard to sort of pass down correctly. So in the Buddha's time, the Buddha and his monks, some of his monks, they have this sort of mind reading ability, so they can confirm. If you practice wrongly, they come up to you and hint to you, or you practice wrongly, something like that. Or they are able to certify. You pose them a question, and they will know what level, what stage you're in. So this is the Buddha's time. So now it's sort of very rare. So we just have to base on faith, and also different schools or different teachers, how they interpret. And of course, it's again, you're up to your discernment. You are free to do your own investigation and sort of window shopping to find your own sort of version that suits you, right? Of course, there will be a point of time, or sometimes you practice until you cannot find any progress. Then you might want to find another kind of teaching that you find that make you improve. So this happens in the Buddha's time as well. Even his own Buddha's disciples, when the Buddha is traveling in some farther regions in India, right? This group of new monks, they look for elder monks for instructions. So they look for elder monk A, they cannot get a satisfactory answer. They look for elder monk B, cannot find a satisfactory answer and cannot improve their practice, and have to wait until the Buddha come back and give the instruction. So that was what happens in the Buddha's time. So similarly, now the Buddha is not around, so you have to do your own window shopping. Right, so hopefully that kinds of help. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Bhante. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Bhante.
Wayman raised hands. Okay. You have a question?
Yeah, speaking about the window shopping and doing investigative work, right? Should we listen to a few teachers or just one teacher, or how should we go about structuring how to learn?
Yeah, for initial phase, it's good to look around, right? Then of course, from this wide range of samples you have, then you find which one suits you best. Now, of course, when you practice to a certain stage, sometimes you might get stuck. And then you persist, you get stuck. Then, of course, you have the freedom to either stick to the same teacher or change. You can look for other instructions. There are 84,000 Dhamma doors, 84,000 paths to liberation. Right?
Okay. Wait, is it good to just learn from one teacher, like rely on one teacher, like because there are some lineages, I think they are very reliant on one teacher and they don't really listen, they don't really listen to other teachings.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. If a person wants to stick to the particular method and they want to keep the sort of purity of that particular system or method, then it's good to just rely on one, right? But if a person, let's say they reach the end goal, let's say if they reach enlightenment or they are have a very high sort of attainment, then they can understand the various pathways that lead to this attainment. So it's good to stick to one. There's pros and cons also. But sticking to one, the con will be if, let's say, the teacher is not skilled himself or herself, then they only teach you a minimal level. They can't give any further instruction, and they don't want you to switch teacher. Then you're forever stuck. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so there's pros and cons. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Bhante, there's one question from Facebook.
Okay.
William, can you elaborate rapture as a condition for enlightenment?
Okay. This rapture is based on the reduction of these desires. So if a person practice impermanence until the desire drop. And depending on how fast or how strong the desire drop, then the intensity of rapture will vary. So if a person has stronger concentration, it's a bit like unifying everything in a clump. Then I remember there's this old Ghostbusters movie, right? So these fellas were trying to catch the ghost with this some beam weapon, right? And they had to shoot with a gun first to pull the ghost to the trap before opening up the trap, right? So this is the, I'm not sure whether you've seen that movie, but anyway, they won't straight away put the trap and expect the ghost to run to that trap. So just nice, the hungry ghost man, so we talk about ghosts. Right, so similarly, if a person just do, let's say, very, very dry kind of insight, very, very dry insight, it's like just putting the trap. So what are the chances of pulling the ghost in, right? So it's it might take a longer time. So if a person does concentration, it's like using the gun to suck in the ghost, to direct the ghost to the trap. So this is the concentration part. So similarly, if a person has some concentration, or the stronger the concentration, and when they does this relinquishment by impermanence, then the joy will be greater. Also, there are many other factors. It depends on how intense, how fast you reflect on this impermanence. So there are many other factors.
Okay, Bante, there's one for me.
Okay.
Okay, from this slide, dependent on seclusion and dispassion. Let's say for lay people,
yeah,
do you need to go to retreat or
okay
have seclusion and dispassion? Because you look for food and all that.
Correct. Yeah, this is a good one. I'll talk about it. Might be an on-call topic if you want. Seclusion doesn't have to be physical. The Buddha, you can check out this Miga Jala Sutta, M-I-G-A-J-A-L-A, Miga Jala Sutta. So the Buddha is talking about physical seclusion. Is doing a case study, and a person is physically secluded, but mentally they do not know what is self-restraint. So they may be living in a forest, living in a cave, but still attached, see things, see greed and hatred, So that is not real seclusion. Not real seclusion, but mentally, if the in-programming is correct, if they're instructed how to reflect correctly at any sense stimuli, then this is the real seclusion, even if a person is living in a busy city. Right, so we are going to, hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Bante, very much.
Okay, so any more questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, we are going to have a short break, 5 minutes. So now it's 9:11 on my clock, so 9:16 we will come back. Right, so you can go toilet break, do stretching, right? Then you can come back for the guided practical session. Okay, hi all, welcome back. It's 9:16. So whoever is back, find comfortable sitting posture. Okay, and we are going to do our meditation routine. So it's going to be very similar to the one we've been doing for the 4 sublime states. But today's theme is more on the 7 factors, right? So we are going to emphasize more on it. Okay, so once you're ready, you can close your eyes, relax your muscles, relax your body. And we are going to start off with this loving kindness. And we're going to start off wishing our entire body from head to toe. So again, it's like an MRI kind of scan. So if you can visualize your body or even the cross sections of your body, you may do so. If you can't, then you just feel the sensations of the body. Right, that's the main emphasis, to feel the sensations. So starting from the skull of the head, right, we're going to start to feel our head down. So what are the sensations we're looking for, right? Can be any sensation, but there's a general classification. We call them the 4 elements. So the earth element represents hard and soft kind of sensations, fire, hot and cold, temperature, wind, fast and slow movements, and water, moist or dry. Right, so whatever sensation you feel, right, when you sweep downwards from head all the way to your toes, we are going to wish any sensation that arises well and happy. So we are going to treat all these sensations as passerby. Yeah? There's no need to cling on to them, which is greed, and no need to push them away, which is hatred. And there's no need to purposely generate any sensation. We are going to just observe it passively, let it happen naturally by itself. The more natural, the better. So if there are other sensations beyond the 4 elements, like feeling itchy, feeling tension, whatever it is, right? Then also just wish them well and happy. Take your time to sweep from head to toe. And whichever spot in the body that has tension, you can gently place your attention there with that kind of passive kind of observation mode, and try to see whether the sensations are the same or are they changing. Is the intensity of the tension the same? So by wishing well and happy, thoughts of loving kindness, we are actually reducing aversion, which is like 50% of the desire, the cause of suffering. And when the mind is calm, then you also can reflect. There's this thing in Buddhism called the three universal characteristics. Right? First, there's impermanence, and the second characteristic is this suffering. Right? Anything that's subject to change, when you try to cling on to it and it's change, then it's painful, right? It's suffering. When you have expectation, this is the second characteristic. Because our expectation is a fixed kind of perception, fixed kind of expectation, whereas the reality is always changing. Right? So once you have a certain level of peace and acceptance of this change of sensations, then we are going to wish, right, that yourself, at least all the sensations, may it be free from suffering. May it not cling to this expectation and fall prey to the winds of change. So we have introduced the thought of compassion, wishing all the experiences free from suffering. And we are going to extend this concept to the breath. So now we're going to at least strengthen the mind a little. Right? We're going to feel one point below the nostril, above the upper lip. So basically we're isolating this attention to one small area. And if you can forget the body, do so. Just focusing on one small area, gentle attention. So the in and out breathing, the same thing. And in breath, right? Wish it well. Breathe out, wish it happy. This in and out breath, all the sensations in the breath are subject to birth and death. They go through micro processes of rising and falling, birth and death. And so may it be free from suffering. Notice that I do not add I into the sentence. May I be free from suffering. So there's this personalized or ego inside. It will affect the quality actually. And we are going to extend this loving kindness to the front. We wish all beings in front well and happy. And all these beings in front, or all the perceived reality in front, go through this birth and death. This attention span that you extend to the front, this attention goes through many microcycles of birth and death. And you exert or put in effort to think on the front, that is also tension. And that is kind of suffering as well. And you're going to wish all beings in front, may they be free from suffering. That includes yourself. And we bring this attention back to ourselves. And next we are wishing all beings behind well and happy. And all this perception of the back, perceive the reality of the back, go through many cycles of birth and death, many rising and falling. May all beings at the back be well and happy and free from suffering. And we return to ourselves, and we are going to extend the loving kindness to the left. May all beings on the left be well and happy. And all perceived reality on the left go through this rising and falling, birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And then we come back to ourselves and extend the loving kindness to the right. And we wish all beings on the right well and happy. And all perceived reality on the right go through this rising and falling, birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And we return to ourselves. And next we wish all beings above be well and happy. All perceived reality above, experience rising and falling, birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And we return to ourselves, and we wish all beings below well and happy. All perceived reality below go through rising and falling, birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And we return to ourselves, and this time we feel this entire body again, with this loving kindness and compassion. So one way to overcome this hindrance of sloth is to observe the impermanence of the sensations more. But if you can't, then maybe it's a good reminder that this is a live recording. And we are going to extend this loving kindness in all the directions, above, below, and all across, starting with your house. And may all beings at home be well and happy. And may all beings at home be free from suffering. And we can extend the loving kindness to your surrounding neighborhood. May all beings in the neighborhood be well and happy. all beings in the neighborhood also go through this birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And we can extend the loving kindness to your entire country. May all beings in your country be well and happy. All beings in your country go through this rising and falling. May they be free from suffering. And extend this loving kindness to your entire continent, all the surrounding countries. May they be well and happy. All beings in this continent are subject to this birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And extend this loving kindness to the entire world. May all beings on earth be well and happy. All beings on earth go through this birth and death. May they be free from suffering. And we can extend the loving kindness to the entire universe. May all beings be well and happy. So we maintain this boundless loving kindness. And all beings in the universe go through rising and falling, or at least a perceived reality of this experience, go through rising and falling, birth and death. May all beings be free from suffering. Keep observing this impermanence. So even when the mind is boundless, right, then of course you have to ask yourself, is this extended kind of attention or this mind, right, is it the same? Is the intensity the same? Is the feelings the same? Are the elements the same? The density of this attention? Or is it ever changing? So whatever joyful experience you have, right, you also wish all beings not be separated from the wholesome things they have achieved. It's actually appreciative joy. So we have to first internalize how we sort of reach to this peace. If we are peaceful, the conditions that lead to peace. So any experience we face is actually karma, yeah? All the elements we experience, all the sensations are actually surfacing of old karmas ripening. And any form of reaction to the sensations, these are new karmas created. We are actually creating new karmas when we react to any of the sense stimuli. And whenever we react, then there will be suffering, there will be tension and stress. So the path leading to the cessation of karma or cessation of suffering is actually this Eightfold Path, right reflection on impermanence. This way we will make the mind non-stick, not cling onto these different kind of experiences. And all beings, or the perceived reality all around us, are also like this. These are karmas. So we maintain this, any of the four Brahma Viharas, or the sublime states, be it standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. That means these are the kinds of concentrations that can be done in all walks of life, in all of the life's activities. Doesn't have to be restricted in sitting. So with that in mind, we can gently open our eyes and we end the formal meditation. Mentally, we are still radiating these sublime states. Okay, so those who are back on earth can have a short Q&A, 5 minutes. Anyone has any of the questions?
I have a question, Bante.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Is there any difference in the quality of quality or ability to investigate the Dhamma when we use the meditation using, let's say, breath meditation and versus the loving kindness?
Okay. Actually, all 4 foundations has to be there. Because the Dhamma is also talking about the 6 sense bases, 5 hindrances, 5 aggregates. So when we extend this attention to the front, this attention is the 5 aggregates. So this actually Dhammas.
Okay, what I mean to say is this: let's say we use the jhana to actually investigate the Dhamma.
Okay.
Now, as the result of the meditation, going through the certain level, let's say 3 or 4 level, let's say 4th level, you use the let's say the metta meditation. Okay, after that we investigate the Dhamma. Versus if you use breath meditation, which is more neutral in a sense, and then we investigate the Dhamma. Which one is more clarity when we look at the
Depends on how you do it. So it varies from person to person or scenario to scenario. So there's no hard and fast rule. Maybe one day you practice metta, you can have a certain insight, certain understanding. The next day you practice, maybe not so much. Yeah? So case by case. Yeah.
Okay. Because what my opinion is this, that if we use metta meditation, right? If we analogy into a glass of water, the metta meditation is like a water but infused with syrup, because it is sweeter. The taste is more pleasant, in a way.
Yeah.
Use the breathing meditation, it is neutral, and then the feeling of the even the happiness or the joy is somewhat different, you know. But there is a stronger intensity in terms of sweetness in the metta meditation. That, my opinion, Bante, it affects the clarity if we look at certain, let's say, 4 elements, for instance, in all the things that we look at, because it's like neutral, then we look at the thing as what it is, rather than you feeling a certain feeling of love. It's kind of a little bit, infused with sweetness.
Yeah. I can see from your point of view. Yeah, so there is some we call it pleasantness involved. So it's infused in much throughout the process. That's why we switch to the other sublime states. Then eventually we go to equanimity. Then it's you get more clearer. Yeah.
Okay, Bante.
Okay. But it's possible to just stick to one. and can reach enlightenment with just one meditation object, just like metta is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For this, because our session is very short, right?
Yeah.
So to increase the length, so for this metta meditation, according to this, what can we introduce inside?
I do have full like 1.5 to or even longer, sometimes 2-hour sessions on other platforms without the theory and just straight away guided meditation. So normally I break up to 4 phases. So the first phase is the body scanning part. And the second phase is the breath meditation, where we go through the different levels of concentration. And the third phase is the undirected attention, the open kind of vipassana. And the fourth phase is the loving kindness, the directional meditation. So we do all the phases, so it's more well-rounded. Yeah.
So we can use the one from the retreat.
Yeah, retreat. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Wei Wen, you have a question? Yes.
I want to ask Bhante, when we do the front, back, and then right, left, and then top, bottom, right? Do we visualize generating the loving kindness, or like how should I go about it?
The visualization is optional. Yeah, I don't really emphasize on the visualization. Okay. It's more on just feeling the sensation.
Oh, okay. Because I'm not sure how I should do it when I'm like closing my eyes and then thinking. Then because when I feel it, then so the focus is not on the breath, right?
Depends on which phase you're doing. If you're doing the breath part, then it's the breath, but it's a directional one, then you can forget about the breath.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, any other questions?
I have another question, if
yes.
you don't mind.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Okay. It's about the sentence that it was said before, right? Somebody said, we go to samatha. Let's say the fourth jhana again. Then a person will be out of jhana, then do the investigation of dhamma, which is the vipassana. So I'm a little bit intrigued with the words out of jhana. What does it mean? Is it that you change the object, or is it that you drop to the base level, or what does it mean? How does it one make use of that jhana concentration to investigate?
Okay, like you've been to my courses before. Okay, there are 2 ways. One can actually do vipassana while inside jhana. That means while actually observing the impermanence of the breath. That is already a kind of vipassana. There's a vipassana element to it. But if you want more vipassana, then we have to come out of the jhana. So normally what we do is we go to the unrestricted phase. We move on to the other phase. So normally we just bring down the jhanas down to ground zero, back to feel the entire body, and then we can observe the six senses.
Bring to zero. Bring to zero.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Bring to zero, what is the use then? Because in that case, we lose the power of concentration when investigating.
Yeah, you can do investigating while inside concentration.
Yeah.
But that is in the restricted mode. Yeah, but if you want to practice, we call it a power saving mode, because when we are focusing, we are more like charging the peace of the mind, recharging the peace of the mind. So we're actually learning when the mind comes back to the normal sense sphere of normal operation in a scattered mode, we're actually learning how to maintain the battery when the mind is scattered. So it's a kind of training as well. Yeah.
I see. So go to base again. Then we contemplate on the certain things. Yeah.
On the 6 senses. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Bhante.
All right. Okay, anything else? Yeah, I think some participants left beyond 10. Okay, I guess Terence?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bhante, for the session.
Okay, all right.
Okay, shall we dedicate the merit? Can Bhante lead?
Okay. Actually, when we do loving kindness, that is actually the natural dedication of merit. So this is just the the ritualistic kind of approach. Yeah. Akasata Bhumata Devanaga Mahirika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakantu Loka Sasana Etavata Cha Amhihi Sampadang Punya Sampadang Sabe Deva Sabe Bhuta Sabe Sata Anumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Idang me nyadina hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyadina hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyadina hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Imina punya kamena Mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu Yawadibana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante and everyone. Good night. See you all again next week.
Okay, good
Good
night.
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 Bye-bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so next week is part 2 of this Mettam Sutta.